Hello, everyone, and Merry Christmas. The other day on my show, I ranked all of the Doctor Who Christmas specials from 2005 or 6 to present, not counting the ones that I hadn't watched, and I ran out of time, so I cut a lot of it out of the official podcast. I'm a pretty big Doctor Who fan since I discovered the show in around 2010 or so, as you can probably tell from all of the artifacts behind me and the shirt that I'm wearing today. So for Christmas this year, I thought, why not rank the episodes in order of my most favorite to the least? Then I threw in a few extras that you might not have thought of as Christmas eps, but trust me, they are. Coming up in 23, I'll be doing more video and less podcasting, so be sure you're subscribed on YouTube or Rumble so you don't miss anything. Now let's get to the list. Oh, and by the way, this is audio only. I haven't started doing video on the show just yet, so I'll put the Liberty Sound banner over the background while this plays. Let's do some Christmas, and then we're pretty much done for the show and for the year. It's so emotional. But I wanted to have some fun by doing a ranker list, or a tier maker is where I'm doing this one on, because you can create your own custom ones. I think ranker is like written by somebody and they take votes on it, but it's controlled by somebody that works for them. So I went in, and I'm a Doctor Who fan, and it's Christmas time. And if you know anything about Doctor Who in recent years, it's that they do a Christmas special. Although I don't know if the last 2 years if they've still continued that tradition. I'm sure it's not done, but I only know of like one more recent Christmas episode. I don't watch the show anymore. I kind of quit watching a couple of years ago, but I watched all the way through 2005 or 2006 when it relaunched and rebooted. Never having seen it before, I had really just seen one teaser trailer scene, and I was hooked. Like, I loved it, and I knew I was going to love the show when I finally got around to watching it. So I did, much later than 2006, and it was like 2015 or 2013 or something like that when I finally watched it, and caught all the way up. And boy, I was into it. I love these Christmas episodes. So I know you can't see it. This is one of the advantages that will be on video soon. But I am going to rank from A to F as far as the quality of how much I like. Now, it's not going to be the same way that you would rank them if you know Doctor Who too. I don't know how many of my fans are Doctor Who fans, but probably quite a few, actually, I would guess, because of the fact that, I don't know, it's just similar things. I find that the people I watch on other channels myself end up being fans of the same thing I'm a fan of. So starting off with the first one in no particular order other than this is just how I uploaded it, and I'm gonna have to catch the titles in some of these. Let's quickly go through the Doctor Who Christmas specials. Now, the first one that I'm looking at is called A Christmas Carol, or The Christmas Carol, something like that. It is not Charles Dickens, but I've got a surprise for you coming up on one of these later, where you may just hear from Charles Dickens and didn't know that you're going to here on Christmas. So the Doctor in this one shows up on a planet. I forget if it's the one where it seems like his companions are stuck in orbit and trying to land the whole time. So the episode has nothing to do with the companions, the ordinary companions, but the Doctor runs into a new companion, and there's a Grinch, a Scrooge-like figure who is a bank master, or he's able to control lending in some ways, very powerful. And a family comes begging to him for mercy, and this is on a different planet. Keep that in mind too. It's not on Earth. There are fish that swim in the snow in the air in this planet. It's a very odd planet, but they have a little girl, or I think it's a little girl. It's one of the members of the family that's a daughter, and as a result of this family not being able to pay their debts, this Scrooge figure locks her up in a cryo chamber of some kind, and this is the way that he, keeps his empire going. I guess he's an evil man, or he's really just grumpy. Maybe he's just really really grumpy. I don't know if that qualifies as evil or grumpy, but in Doctor Who, sometimes the lines are blurred. Now they go through, and I'm not going to describe the whole episode. I'm just jogging my own memory on it, and they end up, having some adventure. There's a little boy, and they end up going and visiting this Scrooge in the past, because Doctor Who's a time traveler and he can do things like that. Even though he can't get his friends, his companions down to the planet to land, he can go back in time. And I don't know about you, but I love this episode. I'm going to put it in, it's at least going in A. All right. Now, there is above A, there is the S class, and I think that means super, I guess. And then I added in F because there's a D, a D is failing in America, where I'm from. It may not be failing everywhere, at least in, I don't know, when I was growing up, it was failing. F is also failing, but it's like really failing. Okay. D is, you're almost there. F is not a chance. There's also maybe, if I haven't watched any of these, I got to lane for that too. So I'm putting that in A, and we'll see if I need to bump it up or down based on um, the other one. So if I come up to another episode here and I'm like, oh, this one's a lot better, then we'll just go with that. Okay, next up, Doctor Who Resolution. This one I've not seen, so I'm just going to go stick it over in the not watched column because it's with the 13th Doctor, and I haven't seen any of her episodes other than maybe I saw one. I don't remember now. But that was about the time I had quit watching the show. It was towards the end of the Peter Capaldi era. He was the 12th Doctor, and I loved him. I loved the actor. I love his portrayal of the Doctor. But here's what I didn't care for so much was the writing. I felt like the writing had got to be too comic booky or too much like fanfic. And even though Doctor Who's always paid service to its fans, especially in the reboot, it was just getting so much. So I honestly haven't seen this new one, so I can't rank it. So maybe next year I'll come back and rank some more episodes. Okay, next up then. This is the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. A little play off of the Witch in the Wardrobe. Is that Chronicles of Narnia? Same author, I think. Anyway, so this one follows a similar tack to the other one, Christmas Carol, where they go through some kind of a cupboard and end up in this winter wonderland. And it's a pretty cool episode. There's these, I don't know if they're aliens, but they're made out of trees. They are living trees, and there's some kind of cool story going on there. It centers around a widow who doesn't know that she's a widow yet, or I think no, she knows that she's a widow. I think she just got informed that her husband did not return in combat in World War II or something like that. He's a pilot and got lost, and she's getting the news that he's not there, but she hasn't told her kids, and it's almost Christmas. And what do you do when it's almost Christmas and you have to tell your kids that their father is missing and presumed dead, and he's in war, so he's probably dead? And it's a really, these pull at your heartstrings. I'm just thinking about it now. It's been a while since I've watched any of them, but this one, boy, I'm going to put it up there in A, right next to the other one, the Christmas Carol, and the Doctor, Witch and Wardrobe, or with a witch, the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. No offense, Widow. Next up, moving along here, we've got 10th Doctor. This one is, I think it's not the Day of the Doctor. I'm gonna have to get the title because it's not showing up in this one. But I came prepared. Not the Time of the Doctor. Christmas Invasion. Twice Upon a Time. Oh, come on. It must be down lower on this other list here. Getting there. That's right. Oh, I missed it. Didn't have that one. Okay, I've got the titles on backup screen number 2 then, which is my files that I uploaded this for earlier. Let's go. Well, gotta love doing this live, and I'm probably not going to edit this out of the recording either. So just enjoy the dead air and the silence while This is more fun with video. Just saying. So next time we'll do it with video. Okay. All right. We're talking about. It's not the Runaway Bride. Is it the Time of the Doctor? Nope. It's not that one either. Next Doctor, Curse of the Family. Christmas Invasion. We'll get to that one. Christmas Invasion is a good one. Don't want to rank it too soon, though. Oh, End of Time. Not the Time of the Doctor, the End of Time. This is when the 10th Doctor, this is like his final episode, and I think it's a multi-parter. It's been so long since I've watched it. But I'm going to tell you straight up, it's going into S class. This is a top level Doctor Who episode. I love the entire arc of the 10th Doctor, and it's his tragic end. I won't spoil it for anybody, but the Master is in there as well, and I love when they bring I love the portrayal. I forget the actor's name who plays him. Before he became Missy, who I also loved Missy when they had her play the Master, became Missy because he regenerated and now he's a female, as happened to the Doctor too. But we're going to find out in a second that that's not the first time that the Doctor's been a female. It was a long time ago, and most people don't know this, even the dedicated Doctor Who fans. But because I haven't seen it in so long, I can't talk too much about it. I just remember, Oh my goodness. I think they bring back Rose in there. Every time they bring back Rose, I'm telling you, my heart. Be still my heart. All right, next up. Ooh, this is one right here. The Husbands of River Song. Boy oh boy. Now I've got mixed feelings about this one because I love again River Song and her story, her character's arc. Alex Kingston, who plays her, is just tremendous. I also think that for the first time, the relationship between the Doctor and River is more or less perfected because it's an older Doctor, at least in physical appearance. We know the Doctor always gets older. He doesn't get younger, even if he looks younger in a regeneration, but he looked more mature, okay, as Peter Capaldi is the 12th Doctor. And River Song is older than the other actors who played the previous Doctors. So it just seemed to fit better on the screen. However, I think I'm going to stick this one in the B column because it has some flaws, and I can't remember all of them at this point. But I had some trouble accepting some of the themes that they brought in and some of the monsters and villains. I just didn't like them as much later on, and it's a great one. It's like the last time that it's the first time. No, it's the first time that this Doctor, the 12th Doctor, sees River, but it's the last time, almost the last time that she sees him because their timelines go in reverse. He does know who she is, but or anyways, I've got that all mixed up. It's River's first time seeing this Doctor, but is it her first time? I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to go back and watch it. So I'll tell you next year if it's still in the B column or not. Okay, now another Peter Capaldi one. Last Christmas. I know where this is going. All right. And I know what you're thinking. This is the one with Santa Claus. All right. Doctor Who can't do Santa Claus, but oh, yes, Doctor Who can do Santa Claus. In fact, Doctor Who can even make me believe in Santa Claus once again. That's how good they did with this. Now, there are some issues with this episode. I'm not going to pretend like it was just perfect 100% and out of the ballpark, but I am going to put it as an A. Okay, because the pacing is very well in this episode. You're engaged the whole way through. It's kind of depicting Clara, at least at the time when they wrote it. I thought they were writing her out of the show. I thought they were going to move on and get a new companion. They end up bringing her back, and by the time Clara was really gone, she wasn't actually really gone. First of all, let's get that straight. They didn't really end Clara. Okay, they just had her go continue on in a different form, and I think that's lazy writing. I think that sometimes people have to die, or sometimes people have to have a conclusion. They don't have to die. Okay, that sounds really cruel. Sorry for ruining everybody's Christmas, but come on. Okay, because you can't just have somebody die and come back to life and die and come back to life and then oh we did well. I won't spoil everything that happens, but come on, I'm just saying. So, but it's a good episode, and it ends. The ending is very heartwarming. It's right up there with the best of the Doctor Who Christmas episodes. Okay, next, another Capaldi. Maybe we're getting all these Capaldis out of the way. The Return of Doctor Mysterio. That one I think was the next year after that one, and I did watch this one. I laughed. It was pretty enjoyable as a standalone. Okay, and these Christmas episodes often are. They don't necessarily have anything to do with the season arcs, but it just they really. I don't know if Moffat's the one to blame for this. Stephen Moffat, the lead writer, and who's no longer the lead writer on Doctor Who, but was during this period of years, and has been writing for them for a long time. He just goes into if it's him or whoever it is, whichever writer it is, they write these. It's almost like it's a Marvel comic. It's like they thought, hey, what if Doctor Who crossed paths with the Marvel universe and everybody's a superhero? And it's the return of Doctor Mysterio, and he's got like a mask on, and it's very superhero. But in this case, they're not um they're not apologizing one bit for that. And I think they pull it off actually pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and stick it in B as opposed to, I would put it in C because I'm just not into all of that kind of stuff so much. In fact, I might end up putting it in C by the end of this little session here. but we're going to put it there because I think that they did a good job of that genre. Okay, and it's okay to try different genres, especially in Doctor Who. Next, David Tennant. This one is The Christmas Invasion. I can't see the titles in some of these because they're cut off. It's not enough space on the icons. But The Christmas Invasion. This was the first episode with the 10th Doctor after the Ninth Doctor abruptly regenerated at the end of season one and briefly turned into this Doctor. They come crashing into London, and then the Doctor promptly passes out because he's so tired from regenerating. And most of the episode takes place without you actually seeing the Doctor do much other than sit there and snore and wake up, and he ends up, I think it's some coffee or some tea gets spilled, and that wakes him up in the end. And then he comes out and has some great scenes. It's a pretty good Christmas. It's one of my favorite Christmas episodes to watch, but I think this is just for Tennant. It's not because I think that he's like not as good as the other. It's because I think he's kind of like my Doctor, all right, like my favorite Doctor, I suppose, of the new ones, and really was for a long time. I'm gonna put it at B, but that's only because I anticipate having some A's and some S's for his other ones. In fact, we already did that one. We put it at the top. The only one that's been in S class so far is the Doctor, End of the Doctor. What was it called again? Doctor End of Time. End of Time. All right. So next one. Okay, this one you've probably never heard of it. In fact, the next two you may. I haven't heard of the other one that's coming up next, but this one it's called The Curse. The Curse of Fatal Death. And it really has nothing to do with Christmas, actually. It's just that this was for a 1999 BBC Children in Need special where they do a special charity presentation, and I think they raise money and things like that. And there's been some other cool Doctor Who events, but this one actually contained a little mini episode of Doctor Who, and it's kind of in between the old school classic era. It follows on the events of the Eighth Doctor, who had that, was it a two part? It was a movie. I don't think I've seen the movie, or if I've seen it, I didn't know what it was because I was a kid and I didn't know what Doctor Who was at the time. But maybe I've seen the movie. It was like made for TV. But this happens. It's not with McGann. Is that who it was? Paul McGann, wasn't he the Eighth Doctor in that? But it has some subsequent Doctors, and it's kind of like a roast of Doctor Who, and it's so funny. Like the way that I'm gonna have to watch this one again too, just for the laughs, because the way that they attack some of the cheap plot lines that get used over and over again. I mean, come on, how many different ways can you use a sonic screwdriver to save the day, right? So there's a lot of things that happen where there's an emergency and the Doctor needs to do something, and he says, "I'll explain later." Because I don't know if that's been a line in some of the old episodes, but it's basically a trope that, well, there's no time to explain. It's an emergency, so I'm going to do some timey-wimey things, or I'm going to rearrange some wires or program this computer really fast, and then later on I'll tell you the summary of what just happened, and they do that in there. The Doctor also gets killed multiple times and keeps regenerating and quickly regenerates through other ones with the Master. The Master is played by somebody who does a great job just pulling out all the idiosyncrasies, and his laugh, the Master's laugh in there. I can never forget that one. And then ends up regenerating as a woman at the end of it. And then the woman Doctor and the Master run off together, decide to quit fighting. It's so hilarious. I don't know where to put it on the scale, though. It really should be like an F. I'm going to put it in the F. Okay, this is a total failure of Doctor Who. However, it was on purpose. And I think it was written by Stephen Moffat, too. Like, really, this one probably should be getting the award out of all of them. But I'm going to put it at the lowest because I don't have anything there for one, but also because it was just, so awful. All right, next one up. And I'm way out of time, but I'm going to keep going because we're almost done here now. This one was called the or was it S? Three Doctors, S. Dimensions in Time? No, not that one. This one is an old black and white Doctor Who. Oh, I know it's on this list. The Feast of Seven, 1965. And according to Ranker.com, this is the only holiday special of the classic Who era. It's in the third part of a series in which the first Doctor, who is played by William Hartnell, faces off against his sworn enemies, the Daleks. And the episode is not particularly festive, but it does include a few small nods to the holiday, including a moment in which the Doctor breaks the fourth wall to wish viewers a Merry Christmas. How about that? And from what I read about it, though, it was evidently one of those broadcasts that basically, if you didn't watch it live, you've never seen this show because they've lost the archives of it. So I've never seen it, but I guess that was the first Christmas Doctor Who. And there may be some surviving footage of that somewhere out there. I'll have to look for it. Okay, now let's go on to the next Doctor. The next Doctor was with the 10th Doctor, David Tennant, where he runs into a fella in the late 1800s, and I think it's in London, who thinks he is the Doctor. He's been struck with what they call a fugue state in the show, and I think that's a medical term, psychological term of some type, where this guy has had a traumatic experience, and the Doctor knows pretty clearly up front what's going on. He's pretty sure that this is not a future incarnation of himself, despite the fact that the guy refers to himself as the Doctor and doesn't recognize the current Doctor. And some of us were me. When I was watching this, I didn't. These weren't new episodes for me yet. I was still catching up, and I was like, "Well, is something going to happen? Are we going to get the next Doctor?" And so I was intrigued the whole time. It may not be so intriguing now, but this is just a top quality episode. I'm tempted to put it as an S. I know there's a lot of criticisms of it. I know that people think that it's just kind of a silly concept. They probably didn't like that this Doctor's companion, and it wasn't period appropriate. He had a very forward female companion that was, kind of like, I don't know. She was pretty strong. I would have loved to see a spin-off of just those two characters, just this not Doctor and his companion who followed him. He was so convinced he was the Doctor, he even got a companion. He even had a sonic. I mean, come on. S. We're putting it in S. Let's go in an S. I don't care. No one can stop me. Well, except this webpage because I can't drag it up there. Okay, now I've dragged it up there. All right, we've got two in the S category now, and they're both 10th Doctors. One is his ending, and the other one is the next Doctor, which is not his ending. I think that was the year before. Okay, next up, The Runaway Bride, another 10th Doctor episode. We've got one more to do, so this won't be the very last 10th Doctor. This is the one where they introduce Catherine Tate as, what was her name in the character? What's her character's name? It's Catherine Tate. She's in The Office. I can't even, wow, it's been too long since I've seen it, but she is the Runaway Bride. This is right after the Doctor lost another companion in a less tragic but still kind of sad way when he lost Rose, who was his first companion. And he meets this woman who is a very, just like that other companion I was talking about, she's a very strong-willed woman, and she's getting married to some man who you can't figure out why are they together. Which, although you find this out either in this episode or when she finally comes on for a season. I know this one, actually, this is right after Rose is gone. So the Doctor's really depressed, and he meets this woman who is like, she's going to throw him for a loop. Usually it's the Doctor throwing people for a loop. This time he's caught off guard, but he also has to try to help her because somehow she's ended up inside his TARDIS. It's a bit cheeky. It kind of goes back to some of the early days things that this show did. Like, some of the aliens were supposed to be scary, but I thought they kind of came across more as humorous than scary. It was also more pointed towards kids, I think, at the time, and in a good way. And that's actually what hooked me to begin with, was because of my inner kid loving all this stuff. Let's put it in. Oh gosh. I mean, I can't put everything in A and B. I'm going to put it in B because of some of the things that I said. But it really, like, the episode is just it really is better than a B. Okay, we'll come back. If I have a second guess at the end, I'll finalize all this stuff. I reserve the right to do that. Next, we got 5 left here. Doctor Who. This one is the Snowmen. I'm pretty sure that's the one with snowmen. The other ones don't look like it. What is that one? Oh yes, okay. It's the Snowmen. The Snowmen is to me, it starts off with a concept that I think could work. They have, from what I understand, brought back the Great Intelligence, which was something from the classic Who era, I think, but I don't remember that. I've watched through the classic era, but I've probably not hit every single episode, and I watch them a lot more casually than I did the newer episodes. Good entertainment on the weekends sometimes, but while you're doing housework and everything. But I'm not necessarily paying attention to every detail. So they bring back this great intelligence, which is in the snow or in the water or something, and it's going to take over. And there's these snowmen with the teeth. It's watchable. Okay, it's definitely a watchable Who. Matt Smith, I love what he brings to this character. He's not necessarily my favorite actor overall, and his Doctor isn't necessarily my favorite overall, but he was the first new Doctor that I ever saw. That little preview that I caught, which got me hooked on the show, was of him. I love his first season with him and Amy Pond. And when she's a little kid and everything too. I love that season so much. But by this point in the show, I was starting to have kind of some concerns. I'm going to put it at a C. Something's got to go in C. All right. We can't have everything be A's and B's and S's. So it's going down there. It's not unwatchable. Like I said, it's you can follow along and enjoy it. But it's if I had to like get rid of half of my Christmas Doctor Who collection, I'm probably not keeping that one. Okay, next one. Now this one is not even an official Doctor Who Christmas episode at all. Okay, but it happens to take place around the story of Christmas. And it is called The Unquiet Dead. That's right. It's the one with Charles Dickens where he gets to orate the Christmas Carol, which he wrote, and it's set in a time when he was alive, which I totally know when that is. It was 18 something. Anyways, so they have gas heating, so it's got to be later in the 1800s, but they didn't have electric lights, so gas lights and gas heating and all that. Anyways, there's a lot of gas in this episode. A lot of the early Doctor Who episodes of the reboot had a lot of gas. Now that I think of it, but anyways, so they go. This is the Ninth Doctor. It's the very first season. Not it wasn't even during Christmas. I don't think when this show aired. It was probably like April or something like that, or the summer. But they go show up and it's Christmas. It's snowing, and they end up having this adventurous story that involves gas and a spirit or some kind of entity that's in the gas. And I love this. I love this one so much. However, it cannot go as an S class or really even as an A class. It's got some issues with it that should really throw it down in the B, C, D, maybe even F category. I don't know, but I just like it so much. It's going to go in B. It just is. All right. I've got most of these are in B. I was kind of thinking this was going to go a different way when I got started. I'm totally going to have to edit out a lot of this content. So maybe I'll make a separate audio. It's not on video. I'm not recording this with video, but maybe I'll make a separate audio just for this Christmas list, and I'll only give an excerpt in the podcast show. So if you like getting all this content, that's right. You had to subscribe or something. I don't have any extra subscription options, but this will be on. Maybe I'll just put it on YouTube and Rumble. So there you go. Okay, 3 left now. Now this one is called. Let me go back up on my cheat list. It's the End of Time. No, we already did the End of Time. It is not Twice Upon a Time. The Time of the Doctor. This here is there was kind of a 3-part in a row series that, and I just realized I didn't send out the message that I was going live. No wonder nobody listened today. I didn't put the message out that I was going live. Let's edit that part out too. So the Doctor Who, let's edit all this stuff out. What is going on here? I'm going to have to do so much editing. I don't even remember what it's called again. Time of the Doctor. The Time of the Doctor. This one is part of a 3-part serial, which is really the end of the Matt Smith era of Doctor Who. And I remember the 50th anniversary special more than I remember this one. But the way that it ties up his timeline is really, really well. I'll have to go back and watch it again, maybe this Christmas too. He's an older Doctor. He has been in this form for a long time. I've got some issues with it, actually. I'm going to have to take some issues with this one. Okay, so here's my issues is the Doctor who never gives up. The Doctor who always finds a way. He always cheats the system, whatever he's got to do to make sure that innocent people live and prosper and that the guilty are punished, without necessarily killing them. This doctor has decided to stay stranded on some remote planet that we've never heard of and has no place in the canon of Doctor Who, other than they started making up, I think it's called Transalore. And I don't think that's it. Somebody could tell me in the comments. I don't know, but I don't think that's ever been a Doctor Who place, right? Until they made it up for this season. And he goes to this place, and everybody has to tell the truth in this town. There's something in the air or whatever that they can't tell a lie. And the doctor decides to stay there and forget about his companions, forget about Amy and River, his wife, all this stuff. He's going to just hang out on this planet until he gets old and walks with a cane. So we're going to put this episode in D. I don't even care about the rest of it. I don't care. Don't tell me about the lines. Don't tell me about the plot or how it wraps up this, that, and the other. They could have did so much different with it. And after that 50th anniversary special, they should have. Ah, okay. So I got something in every category now. That's good, I guess. Okay, now we've got two left, and this next to last one is a 12th Doctor with an appearance of the first Doctor in Twice Upon a Time. Now, I only think I've seen this once, or did I even watch it? I think that I saw it, but I'm going to have to put it in. I'm going to have to put it in not watched because I just don't remember anything about it. I don't remember if I was so pleased that it was so good and it surprised me, or if it was one of those letdowns. They're like, oh, they got the first Doctor. I think a lot of people didn't like the actor that played him. Let's look that up real quick. Who played the first Doctor in what's it called again? Twice Upon a Time. Twice Upon a Time. Twice Upon a Time. Okay, I'm going to go to IMDb because they're not making it easy on the searches. Writer, stars: Peter Capaldi, David Bradley, and Pearl Mackie. Pearl plays Billy. Yeah, it's David Bradley. So I think he did an excellent job as playing the Doctor, and he might have been the same one who played it in. They did a recreation of the beginning of for the 50th anniversary. They did like a recreation of the story of the first Doctor and had him play some of the episodes as if they were being filmed on in the BBC back in the day. And I really like him. I also like Billy as a companion. I wouldn't say she's my favorite companion, but I thought she was good. I thought she worked well with Capaldi, but I just haven't seen the episode, so I can't tell you. So lastly, we're finally here, ladies and gents. It is Christmas is almost official as soon as we get through this last Doctor Who Christmas episode. You may know what it is if you are a big fan like me and you've heard all the other ones. Our final one to rank here is Voyage of the Damned. Boy, I love this episode. It's got everything. It's got a Titanic. It's got a near miss crash. It's got the Queen of England. God rest her soul. It's got confused aliens who got misinformation about the Earth and have no idea what Christmas is. They think it's a violent holiday where we go around killing things. Oh boy, it's got everything. And it has Kylie Minogue, is that her name? Who plays the Doctor's temporary companion, because once again, at the end of a season, he's lost his companion, and he goes through and they have a great time, and she's somewhat innocent. She's really just working on this. It's a cruise ship that's made to look like the Titanic, and it's in orbit around Earth because the travelers, these sightseers, want to see what Christmas is like on Earth. They're from somewhere else in the galaxy. And so they go, I guess, back in time because it's supposed to be present day. And there's disaster, of course, called the Voyage of the Damned. Of course, if you know, the actual Titanic was kind of a Voyage of the Damned, and it sank. So there's like some bad things are going to happen to the ship, and I won't tell you how it ends. But that's the scene. That's the setup. There's a lot of disaster going on, and it's a good episode. It's not going to go in the S class. Does it belong in A? I'm just looking at the B column and it's got so much in there, but I got to make a decision here. It's not a C. I mean, some people would put it in C or even D. This is back like when I really appreciated the way that they were writing and delivering these episodes too. So I think I'm gonna put it in A. It's just gonna go in A. All right, you're gonna have to get over it. It's in A, and the list is now complete. So Merry Christmas, everyone. We have our Doctor Who Christmas specials ranked. I'm going to go from the bottom to the top and read them off to you. And then in my special little excerpt on this, then I will post the order. And then you can all argue about it and tell me why I'm wrong or why I'm right. You might agree with me. Maybe. We'll see. So, starting with not watched, if I can zoom in enough, we've got Twice Upon a Time, which I might have watched. We've got the other one, the Stevens, the Seven, the Feast of Stephen. I wrote it down as the Feast of Stephen. It's actually the Feast of Seven. So Twice Upon a Time, the Feast of Seven, and then Doctor Who Resolution, which I also haven't seen, and so maybe I'll rank in the future. Now, starting with the bottom of the ones that I have seen, we have the honorary F for The Curse of Fatal Death because it was just so terrible, but on purpose. And that really counts for something. So that's why it's getting an F. Next up, we have Doctor Who, The Time of the Doctor. Just because, I have my issues with it. That gets a D. In the C column, we have Doctor Who, The Snowman. For reasons we stated, it's got some flaws. It's not unwatchable, but it's kind of like, it's a little bit unwatchable. Uh, Moving up to B, we have The Unquiet Dead, which is the one, the Ninth Doctor one's the lone Ninth Doctor Christmas episode, in my opinion. Then we have The Runaway Bride, The Christmas Invasion, The Return of Dr. Mysterio, guy in the B column. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm going to leave it in there because again, like I said, I think they pulled it off well. It's not my cup of tea, all right, but it still does make it a bad episode. Lastly, in the B column, you have Doctor Who, The Husbands of River Song. And now moving up to A. Voyage of the Damned, Last Christmas, we have The Doctor, The Widow, and the Wardrobe. And then we have A Christmas Carol, the actual episode titled The Christmas Carol. I need to watch that. And then you have in the S class, which stands for superior or super or not silly. If we had a silly class, that's what the F class should have been, the silly class. But the top of the deck, as far as Ryan Hill, Faux Ryan's opinions of Doctor Who Christmas episodes, we have The Next Doctor and The End of Time. All right, that's the list. Let me know what your favorite Doctor Who Christmas episodes are in the comments down below, and I will catch you on the next one.